What's going on, my friends? We're back with another edition of the Wrestling Republic Daily Broadcast, February 13th, the day before Valentine's Day. It's kind of a wild one. I've got my crazy Scottish buddy Soul with me, riding shotgun. We've got super producer Coby Galenzoski, head of reviewing, out here too. How are you guys today?
I'm doing pretty good, big man. You know, you Yankees just had your Super Bowl. You're all probably very hungover. I mean, I heard it was an absolute spectacular event. You know, hey, well done to you guys. Just let's try and pick it back up, get into the swing of things. You know, we're back. Can you get this, crusade of owning the Republic anymore when the boss man ain't here? So our takeover is still continuing for now.
Absolutely. And also, by the way, yes, to your point, shout out to the boss man. He is under the weather, as we saw on the pre-show, which you guys didn't get to see, but boy, can he not talk.
Mm-hmm.
He's sick as a dog, man. But Coby, how are you feeling this morning? I know, you got the Eagles fandom in your bloodline. Pops and you rooting for the Dirty Birds. Tough day as a Chiefs fan. It was a great game, and Jalen Hurts is going to win you guys multiple Super Bowls, so I'd say keep your head high. But how are you feeling this morning?
Feeling fine. I've been up for a while overall. I mean, here for Monday Night Raw, here for the preview. That's my now. I mean, it's been a few weeks, but that's my position now. I'm doing the reviewing for Monday Night Raw. We got the daily broadcast. We got some Mailbag Monday. Let's have some fun. Let's do.
Absolutely, and it is Mailbag Monday too. I failed to mention that, and that's why you earned that super and the super producer tagline, Coby. That's huge. We needed that, and we needed it badly. But let's get ourselves started. And speaking of Monday Night Raw, moving along from the Super Bowl, Brock Lesnar, Bobby Lashley contract signing tonight. We see a lot of contract signings in the WWE. You never know what you're going to get, kind of. But at the same time, exciting things do happen. What do you guys expect to see here tonight from Bobby and Brock? Let's start with you, Soul. What are your expectations for this one?
Look, this is going to break down very simply as, WWE contracts do. I hate you, you hate me, shove, sign contract, table flip, or someone goes through the table. I've basically just described the whole segment to you there. Well done, congratulations. You can have that as your piss break for Monday Night Raw tonight. But I mean, as I said before, I feel like this was such an anticipated matchup between the two, and their previous matches haven't delivered what the fans want. So is this match at Chamber going to deliver? Is it going to be like the final one in the trilogy? Are we getting a quadrilogy at Mania? I don't know, but I'm kind of thinking that this might be my piss break match, Brock versus Lashley, just because we've seen it twice before and it hasn't delivered. Why am I going to try and, waste my time giving it a third shot?
All right. That's interesting. And I wasn't even thinking the whole match, but I hear where you're coming from on the segment being probably a table spot and likely somewhat predictable. But Coby, what are your thoughts on this segment for tonight's Raw?
I mean, because I'm reviewing it, I'm looking at it as just a part of the product. Overall, like, if you would have told me 2 years ago that Brock Lesnar would have been one of the top faces of the WWE, I'd be laughing in your face. Farmer Brock Lesnar is phenomenal. He's funny. Him on the mic is comedy. Like, he made a sex joke on Monday Night Raw last week with getting in bed and Sable, and then after it, thinking about Bobby Lashley. It was a funny joke. I'm curious as to why they're inching towards having Lashley in that twinning position where, like, okay, is he was faced when he was with Theory. Now it's like, well, people love Brock Lesnar now, so they're not going to boo Brock Lesnar. And there's still that, like, looming threat of, like, well, what is MVP doing? Like, does he have his grubby little hands on something in this? And Lashley hinted he needed someone to look at the contract of the match last week, and it's just like, it's a question of why they are going this way and why it's this match at the Chamber instead of WrestleMania. I mean, overall, I'm interested because, I mean, like what I'd like to see is Lashley is the one to stand tall. You could have, without Brock signing, Brock crawls up, signs it, and screams "You're a dead man" into the mic or something like that along those lines. Like really make the threat of, well, Lashley has beaten Brock Lesnar twice, one due to Roman Reigns' help, but at the end of the day, Brock needs the win almost, and that's a weirder thing to say as well. But I'm interested in it.
It does make sense on the Brock needs the win thing too, Kobe. I hear where you're coming from. Ironically, I actually totally agree with that. But at the same time, Soul made the point earlier about, is this going to be a quadrilogy? I don't know. It's one that's it's on paper it should be just, Thunder versus Thunder. It's a slugfest, but we'll see how it plays out at Chamber. I'm excited to see the segment tonight. But let's move along to the next segment on Raw, or not the next. We don't know the order, but Miz TV with Seth Rollins. And I don't know if he's freaking Rollins anymore or just regular Rollins. I think it's regular Rollins now, just Seth Rollins. But
he has the freaking on the website.
He is freaking. So it's Seth freaking Rollins, and he's on Miz TV tonight. I don't know. We've seen a lot of Johnny Gargano on Miz TV. We've seen a lot of Miz interactions with different members of the Raw roster. What are you guys' thoughts on what's going to come of this segment and where they go from here? And I'll start with let's start with you, Soul, and then we'll toss it to Cobb.
Well, I think this is going to lead to something that a lot of people predicted for Seth freaking Rollins at Mania. Who could interrupt on Miz TV that has a connection with the Miz that could then indulge into something with Seth? And if you think about it, someone who, even though I hate him, he showed well at the Rumble. He had a great spot as well. I feel like we are going to see Logan Paul interrupt Seth freaking Rollins on Miz TV, set up something for Mania. And I believe Seth's in the Elimination Chamber for the show, right? So maybe
believe so, yes.
For the US title.
Yeah, maybe we could see something like, when Shawn Michaels super kicked Taker for Jericho to win, and maybe Logan Paul will pop up in the chamber and hit Seth, and that we get Logan Paul versus Seth freaking Rollins for WrestleMania. It'd be interesting. It'd be great exposure because, even though I don't like Logan Paul as a person, the man draws. The man has a very dedicated and hard-hitting fan base that will come to watch him, and this will be something that will sell tickets and get eyes on the product.
No doubt, and the Cleveland connection is not to be overlooked. Both being Cleveland guys, like it makes perfect sense there. And I can see it. And if we're gonna set up Rollins and Paul, then we're gonna set up Rollins and Paul, and that'll be interesting. Kobe, what are your thoughts on this one?
I mean, overall, I think it was earlier in the year, like first or second week in January. I was very adamant of like, Seth is so over. I almost think it's the mistake, if that was the direction, to do Cody versus Seth again at WrestleMania, because there's no reason to turn Seth heel or full-fledged heel, if you want to say it that way. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, like, I think this is an interesting statement. Yes, we could see Theory show up because Theory got stomped by Seth Rollins last week. We could end up having Seth say something, Miz say something. Maybe it turns into, like, I don't know, like, you could really go either way. Like, we know Miz is also scheduled to face Rick Boogs, so there's two kind of things there. Does it turn into Seth and Boogs versus Miz and Theory? Like, it doesn't make too much sense, but it does at the same time. And I think Seth and Boogs would be electric as like a one-off tag team just for the night. At the end of the day, I mean, it's interesting. I don't know when he's going to be eliminated in the chamber, if he's going to have a really good run in it. I don't know what it is. We kind of know that general direction based on what Seth is saying. Seth and Logan are both saying on Twitter. Mm-hmm. That probably is generally the direction. I really liked Soul's idea of, maybe he pops up in the chamber. because keep in mind of where the crowd is. It's a Montreal crowd. They're not going to like Logan Paul. They're going to boo him out of the building. They're going to boo him out of the building like they boo Roman Reigns out of the building come Saturday. At the end of the day, I think it was interesting that they're doing Miz TV with Seth, but it could be fun.
And to your point, Coby, it's an easy segue into the next one on the list here, Miz and Boogs, which, like you said, could turn into something bigger than that, right? A one-off tag team. I really like that idea. When you presented that, I was like, you know what? That makes some sense. Now, if it is a singles match, I'm fine with that too. I want to see a healthy Rick Boogs get some work. He was so over with Shinsuke Nakamura that I there's something there in my eyes. Do you have any thoughts on that matchup or Rick Boogs as a whole soul? Did you like Boogs? Did you like his act with Shinsuke?
I mean, I commented before, a couple broadcasts before, but that was kind of like, it was interesting to me. Like, yeah, he was entertaining, but it was kind of like goofy entertaining. But don't get me wrong, like Boogs in himself was impressive. Like his feats of strength were like, holy shit, this man can do all this. My God. But I just wonder, like they kind of made each other, Shinsuke and Boogs. They were the perfect pairing, and I'm worried for Boogs if it was a lightning strike moment that is really only going to happen once. As a solo act, he's kind of just like Elias. Well, I think you should just put Elias and Boogs together. Basically Elias. It's like yin and yang. Like Elias is yang and Boogs is yin, and it's kind of like similar but counterbalanced, good and dark stuff. So I just wonder what you really can do with Boogs. I mean, do you put him in like a mid-card feud? Do you just have him be a mid-card guy that can be faced? An entertaining act like R-Truth, or even to NXT to do some work there and help energize that brand a bit with a familiar name. Not too familiar, but sort of like, yeah, you're gonna get lost in the shuffle up here. Might as well take you to NXT where you can actually grow and maybe make yourself more familiar with the audience.
That makes a ton of sense. And I found it really interesting, the Elias pairing. The only thing that I think would throw me off on that one is I thought, and I found it fascinating, but I didn't know Rick Boogs isn't like a musician. Like he learned basically just to play Shinsuke's song, like right before that pairing happened. So I assumed that he has like a musical background similar to Elias, where and not that it's more or less impressive, but I found it fascinating. Like he just learned to play Shin's song on guitar. Like, hey, I'm in.
Fair play to the lads. Fair play.
Yeah, and that kind of attitude is what makes me kind of also think if he can do it once, he can do it twice, because he's not afraid to try something. He's not afraid to show his creativity and to show that, he's a hard worker and he's creative. And that's a good combo, I think, in professional wrestling. Coby, what are your thoughts on Boogs specifically, and then in relation to his match with Miz tonight?
Like that's the thing, is I share the same sentiment. I don't know how good or how effective Boogs is going to be as a solo act. We've seen him become a very overact with Shinsuke Nakamura, with bringing back life into the crowd, enjoying his Shinsuke's theme, because it genuinely is a really good theme and the crowd really do love it. I'm interested as to why they've kind of just put Boogs on the program without him, if that was the main plan, if they're just going to return them separate, or if they're waiting for something to happen and then Boogs is bushing. Like if Boogs brings back Shinsuke to a degree. I don't know if that's what happens. I think it's interesting they're redoing this match with The Miz. Like I don't expect too much of it. Like The Miz is good and great at what he does. Boogs is still he's a freak of an athlete for his strength, but I don't know if it's gonna mesh well with The Miz to the degree. That's why almost like, yes, that match being advertised as a singles match now, you could probably almost make it better putting Seth and Theory in, because Boogs can toss around Theory probably. Seth conducting the crowd. You could have Boobs playing air guitar during it. It would just be a fun one-time pairing for the night, and I almost think that'd be a more effective match than a solo match or a singles match of Boobs and Miz. But I do think if it is the singles match, Boobs gets the win unless Miz cheats.
Yeah.
Makes sense. And so moving along, Cobe, we'll do the women's elimination chamber preview, correct? And so we're talking Asuka, Carmella, Nikki Cross, Raquel Rodriguez, Natalya Neidhart, and Liv Morgan. I want to know your thoughts, Coby. I'm going to toss it right back to you because you're hot, and I can tell, and I know that you watch more Raw than probably me and Soul, but that's just slightly, only slightly. So don't get too, but I want to hear your thoughts on this one here.
I mean, these matches are always fun. Like, theoretically, we had the Triple X match. Raw is 30, and it was Bianca Belair and Sonya Deville. I would have liked something to happen to give us Bliss and Sonya versus Bianca Charlotte on that SmackDown or something. I like those kind of cross-brand or matches. Like, this is effectively a Raw versus SmackDown match because Asuka, Carmella, and Nikki Cross are all Raw representatives, and Raquel Rodriguez, Natalya, and Liv Morgan are representing SmackDown. Yes, it's a little weird because it's like, oh, well, there's SmackDown people fighting for the chance to fight the Raw champion. Doesn't make too much sense. Usually these are fun. I don't think the Raw team wins. And I could almost say it that way, but I don't think Asuka takes the fall because I think they're going to really be very protective of her and her new persona or her new face and her new attitude. I do see either like a Liv pinning Carmella or a Liv Raquel powerbombing Nikki Cross to finish it could work. Overall, it should be a fun match. Like, I'm not expecting great match, but I'm expecting it to be enjoyable.
Definitely. Do you have a pick in this one to go over?
Yeah, I think I kind of got the SmackDown team winning.
Okay. And so, what are your thoughts on this one for the trios wise? Do you have a? How about a pick? Give us a pick. Let's make it fun.
All right. I wanted
pick a side for fun.
All right, cool. I feel like it's interesting. You think about it. I mean, for the chamber, like the women to win, I mean, it's kind of interesting.
No. Which side in this 6 women's tag match? So it's the Raw side, Asuka, Carmella, Nikki Cross versus the SmackDown side, Rocky Rodriguez, Natty Neidhart, and Liv Morgan.
Oh, fucking Raw. Fucking Raw, easy.
You take Raw, home field advantage. Not a bad pick.
It kind of, not even that. It kind of just shows that the big names are on one brand.
Yeah.
Asuka and all those great talent. I mean, it's kind of like, you look at the other side, great wrestlers in their own right, but they don't have the name drawing recognition brand the other side does. And it kind of shows there's maybe a wee bit of a problem. We need the split. We need the draft. We need the roster shakeup to get an equal bearing of good names and people who need to just do a bit more time to elevate themselves. I feel like we need that soon. Maybe probably after Mania, this is going to be like the whole shakeup thing with titles probably being changed and even unifications and stuff like that. We will then see a big shakeup for both rosters entering basically, a new age.
I don't even want to start a huge discussion here, but I agree with so much of what you said there, but I do believe that they'll wait to shake up the rosters till the season premiere of both shows in the fall. I think they will go to October, I think, as opposed to going right after Mania. That's just
again.
I think that's the way that they go. And it's just for travel schedules have to be laid out in advance. And it's one of those things that it's not as simple as you can just, shuffle people around when plans are already made. And as much as I do wholeheartedly agree that they're due for a shakeup, I unfortunately am afraid we're not going to quite get it till the fall season. But unless either of you guys have any more thoughts on that, let's get into the.
Well, like my only question is with that is what was it like back then? like 20 years ago, did they have it right after WrestleMania, or was it
Uh,
a season premiere thing? Because I know they've done it
it's
as of
interesting.
late in the season premiere area.
After Mania, you
But
would see a lot of debuts on Raw, but yeah, it wasn't necessarily there. Let's put it this way: there wasn't really like a super random draft that I can remember off the top of my head, where it wasn't like a predictable timing, kind of before Survivor Series heading into the next cycle towards Mania season. It's always been built around Mania, right? Um, right, wrong, or indifferent, and then the Rumble, and obviously SummerSlam is huge as well. But even then, you would it was generally kind of they'd get through SummerSlam because you always had Backlash and Vengeance kind of after Mania to resettle those storylines. There was a lot more, I think, trilogies in that time that you're asking about, Coby. Would be my answer to that one, if that makes sense. And that kind of kept the rosters more stable. I don't know because I think we work so quickly into Money in the Bank. I don't know if that's something that maybe has caused some issues with the roster continuity. I still think it comes down to the unified belts issue. It's just hard without a world champion on both shows.
No, 100%.
Right.
No, my only thoughts was it was like, well, theoretically, Triple H kind of has the control of that area, and it's like, well, yes, they've done the season premiere stuff as of late, but I don't think that's a Triple H call, and I was upset. Well, Triple H 20 years ago, Triple H was a big component of the roster in general, so I was like, would he want to live back that type of thing? Like, I mean, I don't know. That's kind of speculating on what Triple H is thinking, but
no, and it was a great question.
It's a way to think.
It made me think too. I was like, no, it was an awesome question, by the way, Coby.
Right.
And Soul, did you have any thoughts on like, because I know, obviously you brought up the roster split in the first place, but like, what? So I guess we'll do this because we've got a little bit of time for a second before we do Bronson Reed and Mustafa Ali. But like, who would you like to see swap brands?
Oh, that's a real big question to throw all the way out in the middle of things. But
sorry.
Yeah, you know what? I feel like that could be something that we could talk about for another daily broadcast. That's a big question in itself.
Yeah.
So we need some time to think. I'll pull up the Rolodex. I'll go through the whole rosters, pick my old picks. We'll get that. That sounds like a good one for another daily broadcast.
Yeah, we'll make some trades. We got plenty of time this week too, so that's actually a great call. Let's move along then to Bronson Reed, Mustafa Ali, which I don't know if I'm that excited about. Unfortunately, Ali's a Chicago guy, so am I. I'm wearing my old style hat today. But I mean, Bronson Reed's, I think, an awesome talent. I thought he was awesome in his New Japan appearances. I thought he was awesome in NXT. I don't really understand what the deal is with him since he's been back on the main roster. I really hope this is a high quality match and not a squash. Because why are we squashing Mustafa Ali again? Or Mustafa Ali, I'm sorry. Why would we be doing that? And so yeah, I just hope they put on a bell-to-bell match. I don't know if that's going to be the case. Soul, do you have any thoughts? And then we'll toss it to Cobb.
I just feel like this is probably where we're going to see Bronson Reed being built like a badass, guy for the roster. So you know what? Hey, Bronson getting built, I'm all fine with that.
Coby, how about you?
I mean, the things that I think of is the way Bronson Reed debuted. He had what theoretically a year ago would have been a minute-long squash match. He had a somewhat competitive match with Akira Tozawa. Now, that's not saying Akira Tozawa's placement's very high, but Akira Tozawa, the talent, is great. And he was almost getting over when he was friends with the Street Profits for a bit. At the end of the day, I think it's fun, but I think this definitely is going to be used to a degree to advance the current storyline of the Ziggler and Ali. Of Ali's like, oh, well, why is Ziggler keep getting these spots? And why is Ziggler getting multiple chances to become number one contender when I'm here, type of thing? And it's like, I think it is going to be used to advance that. But I also think it's going to be used to make Bronson look good going into the United States Chamber.
That makes a bunch of sense too, I think, because he will be in that chamber, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that, and as a dark horse pick or someone to dominate for a portion of that match, Bronson might be interesting there. I don't know. Men's chambers wise, we're going to get into obviously later in the week as we get closer, I think, when we've got more stuff. So is it time to get into Mailbag Monday?
Let's go.
Is it mailbag time?
Mailbag time, boys.
Is it mailbag time? Did we just get mail?
Mailbag.
I feel like it's mailbag time. Coby,
Right, well,
did you check the mail?
Yeah, it's loaded.
Well, what'd they say? We just got a letter from. We just got it. We're like Blue's Clues. We got a letter from our friends.
We
Get a
just
letter
got
from-
a letter.
Letter.
We just
We
got a letter. Jesus.
Ask us the question, Coby. Tell
want
us
the
what
question?
they said.
Okay, so we have from, let me just pull it up. We have from Dashing Darren Jury. If I botched it, I botched it.
Let's go, Dash
what-
Darren.
Yeah, Dashing Darren. What does Impact Wrestling need to change to be a competitor in the current wrestling market?
Ooh, who wants to go first?
I'll go first for this one.
You go first, so.
I think with Impact is that they've been around for so long. You would think that the name would have recognition. People would want to come in because they've had this legacy. But I feel like with Impact, ever since after Hogan and Bischoff came in, it was so tarnished that people feel like it's just a negative brand. And there's nothing wrong with the competitors on it. They've all done a great job. Josh Alexander is the champion. He's been an absolute tremendous guy. Even Mike Ball, Speed Bailey, he's done exceptional stuff as well. Jordan Grace, local Scott Joe Hendry's there as well. They've got a great roster. What's really holding them back is the station they're on, Access TV. It's so minimal. And when you're seeing other companies like AEW and WWE thriving on bigger networks, they need to get onto a better station. I mean, even returning to Spike or something else, just anywhere other than Access, you'll probably see a rise for Impact. And the fact that, Impact is still here to this day after all the troubles they've been through, after all the crap, shows a real determination. And they've got, Scott D'Amore there, Billy Ray, even Santino Marella, he's there as well. So you've got great names and great characters there. Their reach is hindered by their current station they're on. And I feel like Impact are doing okay. I think Impact know what they are. They're not, I don't want to say they're not even an alternative. They're like a selection. It's like you get that selection box, you have the good ones and all that, and there's the ones left to the side that you don't like, and there's just the ones that are there that you don't mind taking when needed. So I feel like for Impact to move out of their current predicament and continue to rise and be better within the wrestling business, better station, trying is a hard thing to call, but try and run bigger arenas and see if you can manage. If you can, there's more of a demand for your company. You got to keep pushing. And even though they didn't benefit from it, try and reignite the AEW relationship, because AEW is big right now. Hopefully, somehow rubs off the Impact, and maybe Impact can be featured on AEW again, having title matches there as well. And hopefully, you got to try and to see if the crowd can, cross over for Impact. They're in a very, I feel like they're in a place that they know they are comfortable with, but to grow, they got to take some risks.
And I like a lot of what you said there about, especially the and this is no knock on Access, right? Like Access has solid programming and whatnot, but to really take the next step, a larger network, you made an excellent point there, right? I think you're absolutely spot on. And Coby, I want to get your thoughts, and then I'll give mine, and we'll move on to the next question. But this question was more fun than I actually expected too. I want to give a shout out on the question.
So, I 100% agree with that. And I don't think it's the major factor going into it. Yes, Access owns the company, so of course they're going to put it on their own network. At the end of the day, we've been through this. We've said it on air. We've had Anthony say this on air. Impact has a damaged brand, and Impact is it is the cockroach of the wrestling industry. As of right now, it is entertaining. They can really put in new cards, and their landscape's always changing because, now with the addition of say of AEW, there's not just the one main company to go to. As of right now, it's like, well, now there's more competitors. There's bigger places for some of your talent to go elsewhere. And really, the people in Impact are the ones who are going to be like, yeah, well, I like Impact. They took a chance on me. I think I know Rosemary said it once. At one point, she said, well, she's a very like a minimalistic person, so she's fine with what she's getting from Impact, and that's totally fine. But I mean, if you are like a wrestler who wants to grow, Impact is going to only take you so far. I don't know how beneficial and like that AEW partnership would be again. Like maybe, like that's the thing. Maybe if you're gonna do like an open challenge or have someone call out, like if you had Dante Martin win a match and Dante Martin calls out, I mean, if the champion was Speedball, calls out Speedball, but because that's a name you'd want to put on your program. Trey Miguel is kind of in a weird spot, being he has the heel run and all that jazz. Josh is doing great with the company as well. He's the longest reigning world champion of all time at this point. I think they really have to be careful with who dethrones him. And I don't know if they genuinely have that guy at this point either.
Not even Speedball.
They already did it. They already did the match. They already had the hour-long match between them. I think they could do a rematch. I don't know if Speedball would be the one to do it with, because he's very much someone that could carry an X Division. I don't know if he can carry the top of Impact.
Fair point.
Well, and then I would say, so I agree with so much of what you guys say is about Impact here, and you know, I've watched Impact since they were TNA, little older, but not like that much older, but right. And they've always had great storytelling, not always, but long known for, if you look at the early days, and then that's kind of back now, which is really cool. And there's space in the market for that, I think, for sure. And what Josh Alexander has done, to Kobe's point, I think is amazing. I do think Speedball is an up and comer, like you mentioned, so not up and comer, but like he's a future star. But I think the difference, and I liked how you made the connection to AEW as well. And this is not to be like the throw a rain on anybody's parade Impact wise, but they need more money for marketing and for investing in their own talent, production, running larger arenas, all of that. That's what they need to do. And you're either going to build little by little, or somebody's going to come in as like a big investor and help out again. And the company's changed hands a number of times. That's one of the most interesting things about Impact, right? It's not the same ownership since the beginning, but it's also still it's still there. Interestingly enough, Jeff Jarrett works at AEW. At one point, it was his baby, right?
Yeah.
And that's no knock on Jeff Jarrett or that era of TNA and Impact. I enjoyed that one, and AJ Styles made his name there. And what's happening now, storytelling wise, is awesome. But there's, to make the leap, I think it's a combination of things that both Coby and Soul said. It's network, it's marketing, it's continuing with good storytelling, but upping production level. It's running bigger arenas. But I don't know that it's a company that is necessarily in the business of trying to elevate themselves higher. I'm not saying they're satisfied with where they're at, but where they stand in the market might be just good enough. And not to like sandbag the whole conversation on this, but I do personally believe that Impact is they will maintain their space in the wrestling marketplace, but there isn't a really good avenue for them to advance unless something drastically were to change, which I think could also hurt the product because it would be such a high risk to drastically make a change to what they have. And so I think they're functional where they are, and they know who they are and what they're trying to do. And we'll see Impact maybe with slightly more full arenas, but working smaller venues and being, that one slight level below the WWE and AEW reach as far as viewership is concerned.
No,
But that would just be my opinion on that one. Coby, we got more mail, or?
I think we're bang on the banana with that one. So yeah, we do got more mail. Gideon, get on host. It's either Gideon or get on. Sorry if I botch it. Who should be
Gideon or get on? Shout out.
His question is, who should be the next AEW champion?
Ooh. Well, I'm going to toss it to my resident AEW buddy Soul first here for this one, because I know I saw his. Did you guys see Soul there? He's already moving as soon as he heard it.
AEW makes me happy. I mean, rocking the Black Hole Combat. Sure.
Who's the next champ?
See, here's the thing. You can look at it two ways, and I feel like this. I've always been thinking about who to dethrone MJF. And you either go two routes, building or honoring. And it comes down to two names for me. The honoring route would be to let Eddie Kingston take the title of MJF. Now, because Eddie Kingston has been well loved by the fans. He's never really held a world title. That'd be a good honoring way to do the man justice. And heck, those promo battles between those two would be absolutely superb. But Eddie's, not got many days left in the ring. He's a lot older, and you would put the strap on him, and it would be a very good feel-good moment, but it probably would be something that could last long and look back upon and build from it. So the building aspect is you give it to someone who's one of the four pillars of AEW, someone MJF's faced before, and MJF has beaten. I think to build this man and make him the true star of the company, you have Darby Allin beat MJF.
Ooh. I like that pick, Soul. I like that pick. Keep going, Soul, if you want to, by the way, though, because
the thing about this year, Sting's contract's ending this year, and then he's going to be fully done with the business. I know everyone likes to say never win ever, but think about it this way: what this year could be for Darby. He regained the TNT title and then lost it to Samoa Joe. Sting could retire at either Revolution or Double or Nothing with the promos going on. Sting's like, we're going to go out in a blaze of glory, and it seems like, could this be a downfall year for Darby? And then he tries to pick himself back up, and MJF's like, I've beaten everybody. I've done all my part. I'm just going to take the cat. No, he does the whole WWE. I'm going to go there shtick. And then Darby comes out, and Darby's like, you beat me before. I've lost the icon. I've lost family. I've lost myself. And then I'm trying to build myself back up, and I'm going to prove it by beating you for that championship. You do no hokey shit like, if I lose, I'm gone from the company. No, you make it just seem like a good, solid match. You make it an Iron Man match. You make it an Extreme Rules match. Even you make it a ladder match. You make it something that is going to prove wrestling ability and Darby's willingness to put his body on the goddamn line. And think about this. This could be like, I know people made the connection and Darby doesn't like it, but this could be like Jeff Hardy at Armageddon when he won the title. That feel-good moment of, this is a man who's put his body on the line for the company, been there for it, loved it. I think Darby Allin being the next AEW champion seems the best logical route.
I really like that pick.
And then you could have a heel take it off him to build them. Maybe someone in Powerhouse Hobbs or someone like, I wouldn't say Samoa Joe because that's a connection with Darby Allin, but even Ethan Page, someone who's had history with Darby, Ethan Page, or Hobbs, or even a heel Wardlow if they want to go that route, or even Swerve Strickland. There are good heels within AEW who could rise from taking a championship off a good babyface like Darby Allin. And then heck, even going after that, if it's Swerve, you could have Keith Lee take it. Or you can even have, if it's Powerhouse Hobbs, that's Ricky Starks lined up right there. Have this blood feud that didn't happen last year for some weird reason. Yeah. Have a proper conclusion. And even Wardlow, if he were to do that, you'd have, I know it probably wouldn't happen, you'd have a babyface Sean Spears take it off and they really like the, stuff from the Pinnacle. I'm always saying this, people don't say AEW has good stories with good connections. You could put one person on the roster and have a mind map of their connections easily, hands down.
Definitely.
So yeah, if they go this route with either
You're on
Darby,
Darby, and I like the future. I love your ideas for the future. But let's, Kobe, who's your pick? That way I can get my pick in, and then I think this is gonna be our last question of the day, boys.
So, like, that's the thing is, like, thinking about it, yes, we know the general direction right now. He's facing Danielson in the Iron Man. I don't think Danielson's going to win. At the end of the day, he's going to have a much longer reign. I think the move is for Double or Nothing. Could be Eddie Kingston, but theoretically that would be a semi-main event to a different main event. People can take their guesses about that one. At the end of the day, I still believe the whole idea of the pillars having a rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Darby Allin should be the one to take it though.
Okay.
Because I don't. Aside from him, it being a feel-good moment, I don't know where you go from there unless you have someone who's very integral part of his career to take it off of him. I don't know if I actually have an answer if it wasn't Eddie Kingston.
Ooh.
If
Eddie is Eddie your pick, or if
Eddie?
So let's call Eddie your 1A. Who's your 1B?
My one, if Eddie's my 1A, my 1B would be Hangman Page.
Ooh, that's
Hangman Adam Page, I should say.
Adam Hangman Page, maybe. Whatever.
Either. Whichever that. I think you really can go with that because that was almost one of the first story angles they hit on the original pay-per-view, Double or Nothing, was MJF talking shit in certain things, and then Hangman showed up, and I think there's a way you can do it because I don't know. Like, that's the thing. I don't think Jon Moxley's going anywhere near that title.
No.
I don't think Kenny Omega's going anywhere that title, especially against MJF. I think there's only a few really you can go with, unless they do a rematch with Bryan. I have no clue.
Yeah, that's it's a really excellent point. And so are we all three in consensus that Bryan definitely is not taking the title?
No, he's
definitely not. Kobe,
not for Revolution.
If
they do a rematch, maybe, but not at Revolution.
And I think you guys both mentioned Kingston Soul. You mentioned him as, your pick was Darby, but you did mention that it would make sense for the big pop. And then Kobe mentioned Eddie as well. And I think that would make plenty of sense myself, right? Like it for Eddie, it would be amazing. I also considered Ricky Starks. I think Starks he doesn't always get mentioned as a pillar, but if Ricky against MJF is so fun and on the microphone is so amazing. But my pick, and we might have to do a whole nother show about this in the future.
Oh, we could easily.
Because my pick may shock you, may not.
Please don't be CM Punk. I swear to God, I'm going to go over there and
if you know me well enough,
you
and
You son of a bitch.
The guy that takes the title off of MJF is Mr. Phil Brooks.
Oh, for fuck's
CM
sake.
Punk is the one. When he comes back, like I said before, I was going to pick Darby until you did, Soul, and then I just audibled. I said, you know what? It's time to say it again. CM Punk comes back, and he takes the title off of Maxwell Jacob Friedman, puts him right to sleep with the old GTS classic cult of personality plays Wild Pop, and we have a 3-time champ, my friends.
God damn it. And then he's going to get injured in next week's Rampage.
He'll get injured probably in the match, but you heard it here first. Phil Brooks, CM Punk, that's my pick. Yeah. Either way, it's been a blast of a show today. I think we're probably going to have basically the same crew tomorrow outside of maybe Kobe.
Nope.
So Kobe's gone. It's going to probably be me and Soul rocking it tomorrow with the
perfect way to spend Valentine's Day.
It's going to be sick. We're going to establish Valentine's Day. We'll let you know on the topics. We'll let you know on the time. Sorry for going a little bit late today, but it was a blast. Sign off. You guys got anything before we go?
All the best, lads. Have a good one. You know, it's going to be a great time.
Did you have another hint, Saul?
Another hint? No, I'm going to give the viewers a break. You know, I could give you all hints every day, but no.
Too many hints.
Okay.
Too many
I love
hints.
it.
I can't give all the viewers all the knowledge. You know.
All right, it's been a blast. We should be back to 9 a.m. Hawaiian, noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, and 8 in the good old UK tomorrow, I believe. But we'll see you then.